Welcome to the Tone Jerks podcast. I'm your host, Brian Gower, and with me today we got...
Derek Heidemann. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
I was so close to saying Kyle McIntyre.
We got Derek from the Tone Control podcast.
That's right.
How's it going?
It's going good. I'm really excited to do this, actually. I've been looking forward to it all day.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining me. I had to pull in some favors. Maybe this week, maybe next, until Kyle gets settled. Because just today he landed in Austin. Yeah. So I don't think he was really even ready, to podcast, let alone, do.
Yeah, I saw he posted a couple hours ago, I made it. And I was just thinking, there's no way, if I was making that drive, I would not be digging out my computer and mics and getting all set. I've got a podcast tonight. Absolutely not.
Yeah, his computer and everything.
Yeah.
But we have the other different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
So, but thanks, Derek, for joining me.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
But how you been? I guess people are maybe unfamiliar. You've been on the show a couple times.
Yeah.
And so you and Justin were on maybe about fucking couple years ago.
A while ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So I do a podcast called The Tone Control. And this year is our 8th year. We're going to turn 8 in the fall, which is insane to think about. But
Damn.
I know. Justin and I used to play in a band together, and we always used to talk about gear and kind of shoot the breeze about guitar stuff. And then we always joked about starting a podcast. And then he moved away, big life changes, got married, work stuff changed, and he moved to Cincinnati from out here in New Hampshire. So we're well, maybe now is as good a time as any to actually start this podcast, and it helps us stay in touch. And since the band that we were in had to stop because we all moved away, it was the perfect excuse. So we've been doing that for since 2013. And
Did you guys think you'd be keeping it going this long? 8 years. That's it. I think we're at 3.
I don't know if we thought how long it would last. I guess. We never set out we're going to do 100 episodes or we're going to do this for a year. And then, we don't, it's not seasonal. So it's we just talk about the new gear and pedals and whatever's coming out and kind of cool to talk about with guitar stuff. So, which there is an endless supply of.
Yeah. New stuff comes out all the time.
All the time. So there's no shortage of things to talk about. So, in the last 6 months though, I'm kind of wow, it's been a long time. It's finally landing with me about how long it's been. Not in any sort of, I want to call it quits kind of sense, but it's oh shoot, this is the real deal now. It's been long enough that it's just dawning on me. So
you're oh, this is a thing that I do.
Yeah. And within the last year and a half, maybe we started, we changed podcast platforms, and we also introduced a Patreon and a Discord server. And so that made it super clear how many people give a crap about the podcast, which is always sort of hard to get a read on, I guess, if you don't have any analytics or anything. So, but we're doing that now, and it's great. The
definitely have more of a sense of community and listenership, I guess is one word, but it's just interacting. It's easier. Because I know when I first started listening to you guys, you had a page, a Facebook page, not a group or anything.
Yep.
And so you could comment on something and be okay, here's one random comment. There's no other comments.
There's no other
Facebook
people,
pages. Facebook pages are, I don't know.
Pages are tough, but groups are tough in a different way. And I don't spend a ton of time on Facebook, and I try to limit that kind of time in the first place. So we didn't really want to go with that kind of platform.
Yeah.
So we were just sort of the podcast itself was the platform, and people could reach out to us if they wanted to, and over email or social media and other ways and stuff. And we were happy to communicate, but it was all very isolated, DMs with this person or an email with that person. And it was great, we have 2 listeners. Cool. here they are.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I think I was reaching out to you guys when I first was oh, we were doing our show. I'm we should reach out to those guys. I'm I've no contact between we weren't in the same groups or anything.
Yeah.
I know with sometimes guitar podcasts, it's they kind of go, they're oh, I'm in this group. I interact with that person.
The same names. Yeah.
And I was I'll just reach out, I think over email or some shit. But
right. Yeah.
It was just a shot in the dark,
yeah, do it. Yeah, right. We met and got to know each other via podcasting, which is super cool.
And then, so if you're unfamiliar listener with the tone control, it's like a bi-weekly show, and you guys, you have topics, but you also kind of do the news. So it's a little different than our show. So if you're, a fan of the Tone Jerks, you can also listen to the Tone Control and get two completely different guitar experiences.
Yeah, which I think is really nice, honestly, because there's a million guitar shows now. And there's a lot of times people end up talking about the same stuff, which is bound to happen with like big product releases and stuff. But I like that, like our show, like we've got a format that works for us, and we're not really going to deviate too much because, it's hard to slow down a machine like that after 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, you're in the groove, you're in it.
Yeah, but like I think there's a huge overlap between like fans of those shows, especially ours and yours, because I listen to the Tone Jerks, and it's a different experience than my own show. It's like I get different things from it. So yeah, I think for fans of kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's a little introduction because it's been a while. But Derek, what is new in your world? What's shaking? What is grooving? What is good?
I knew you were going to ask me this, and I didn't prepare anything.
But like, oh shit! You spit out your drink.
What?
Oh, no. What?
I'm trying to think what's new. The newest thing, like guitar world wise, I just did like another streamlining of my pedal board, and now I've got a bunch of extra room on my pedal board. And the amount of free space bothers me, unfortunately. Like there's big gaps. Like I could fit a pedal in there.
You had it so tight before that you're like, I'm using all the space. Now you're like, oh shit.
I have a pedal train Novo 24, which is like a pretty medium sized pedal board. But I run an HX Stomp on it with traditional pedals. And with all the recent updates and stuff, a bunch of my pedals kind of became redundant. With Stomp, and I was like, I'm not really gigging that much right now because of the pandemic and all that. So I was like, I'm just going to experiment and take this off.
Are you guys open for gigs? Because I think in California, people are saying like maybe June is kind of what people are planning on. So summer,
There's some like outdoor stuff happening around here, but like it was literally 35 degrees today, so it's not really like a good outdoor gig season yet. But
yeah, and then for us, it's like, oh, you can. Some people do outdoor gigs, but I'm like, nobody wants an outdoor like gig in front of like a restaurant of punk rock.
Exactly.
Nah, that ain't gonna happen, chief.
Yeah. So like while the bands are kind of indoors, staying home for a while. It's the time to experiment with gear. So I've got a handful of pedals now running with HX Stomp and the effects loop of that, which is really fun. But I also look at my board and it's like, man, it's like a tumbleweed is rolling through here. There's like, there's so much extra room.
What got the boot? What got replaced from the Stomp update?
I never really replace anything. Like I still have all the gear and it's just moved to a different pedal board, but I took off.
What stuff didn't I make the cut?
I took off the Phase 90 because the Helix phasers are indistinguishable from the real ones.
Yeah.
I took off my Old Blood Noise Endeavor's Procession reverb because, again, the reverbs in Helix are now absolutely wild.
What kind of reverb is that? Is it
the Procession? It's like it's a really big, like cavernous hall type reverb, but it's got effects in the trails of the reverb.
Yeah, okay. They always do some weird shit over there.
Yeah, it's got like phaser, flanger, or trem, and I usually left it on trem because it just had this like extra kind of motion to it that wasn't really distracting.
Little warble,
yeah. And I took off the Copper Sound Loma Prieta just for now. That's a trem pedal that like, so like I'm probably gonna end up putting that back on because although Helix has a bunch of trem effects, like it's kind of one of those things that individual units are still doing things a little bit differently than the modelers, so that might end up back on there. But yeah, that's the deal for now. So right on the board now is an HX Stomp where my guitar goes in and out of to a PA or to an amp. And in the effects loop of Stomp is a volume pedal, a Mythos Mjolnir, a Walrus Audio Ages, and a Walrus Audio Juliana, and a Strymon Timeline. And that's kind of it. And then everything else.
Effects loop? You have your dirt in your effects loop?
I have it in the effects loop of the Stomp, not of the amp in the Stomp. So like,
because you can place it.
Okay. So I'm placing the effects loop as a block. So I can run it into. I play an AC30, so I can run it into the AC30 and not do any amp modeling on Helix. or I can go front of house and model an amp and cab if I want. So if you were to look at the signal flow on Helix, it would be like, input stage and then the phaser, because I like my phase before my drive pedals.
Yeah.
And then the effects loop. Yeah. And then the effects loop block, which is the rest of the pedal board in sequential order, like in signal flow order.
Okay.
And then amp, cab, reverb, and like a light compressor at the end.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
The timeline's a hell of a delay too.
Yeah. Yeah. And like my band plays to a click and stuff, and we've got like, syncopated and subdivided delays a lot. So having the BPMs saved in there is really helpful.
Yeah.
And
do you find like you're using, delay a lot on every song? That's why you kind of stepped it up to get a timeline, or?
Pretty much, yeah.
So I always think of like, of those ones, the least common one is the Mobius for sure.
I think so. I mean,
I wonder if does it suck?
No,
in
it
comparison,
doesn't.
Or is it just like
it's super powerful? It's that whole thing of like how many presets do you need? And it's not like I need 100 different tape delay sounds. It's that I need tape delay sounds at 100 different tempos.
Yeah.
And I'm like not doing tap tempo with that because it's too unreliable. So if our drummer is playing to a metronome, well, guess what? I can just dial my pedal to be exactly the same BPM, and we don't have to worry about it at all. So it's like I end up tweaking custom sounds over, as we work on material and stuff. But I really like the Strymon sounds for delay. I had it before I had the Helix stuff, so I'm just like more used to it in that realm. But it's good. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, for the Helix, are you guys doing band practice again? Or you guys got any shows coming up? Or
we don't have practice. We have a couple of us, 2-3 of us will get together and kind of work on songs in the basement and just sort of go direct into an interface.
Like songwriting, or
yeah,
because you guys released an EP, your EP that you. The first one that you were on, because it was an existing band,
right?
Yeah,
so
about
the band is called Delaney, and they had.
I totally skipped over that. Yeah,
that's all right.
I'm talking like we're like, oh yeah, I forgot we're on a podcast. And then also I'm like, we never have like, I don't. But if we have guests, I'm like, they're just kind of like, oh, we're hanging out and doing the show. I'm not like interviewing. I'm like, oh yeah, what about your band? I'm like, people are like, what band? I'm like,
which one? Yeah, I know.
Give us a fucking give
us a name.
Give us something we can use.
The band is called Delaney, and Delaney is from Manchester, New Hampshire, where I live. So, so the guys had an EP together and released before I joined. Then their guitarist left. He just decided to call it quits. He had other things going on, and they were looking for a new guy, and I am that guy. So, what's funny is the drummer and I went to college together. Didn't know that till like we met, until I was like, oh, Kurt's in the band. I know Kurt,
Yeah.
And then our bass player, Andy, played bass in some other bands many years ago that played a ton of shows with me and Justin's old band. And so.
Oh, that's rad. So it's like, pretty close.
Yeah. And honestly, Matt, the singer, guitarist, and piano player, it's a miracle I didn't know him before, because we know all the same people. So
yeah, they're probably like, oh, thank God, fuck that other guy, get him out of here.
Well, it was nice because I was like nervous. I hadn't been in a band in a long time at that point, but this was like 2018, and so, but like knowing half the guys already was just like made it so much easier.
No, that's rad, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, we put an EP out last summer. We recorded it right before the pandemic hit, which was insane. But
okay. So you released it in like my timeline's all fucking off.
Yeah.
Remember we recorded one like the bonus like I don't know, like quarantine episodes that I was doing like towards the beginning of it. I'm like, I'm trying to like touch base. I'm like, when we last talked.
That was just you and me though, right?
Yeah. So I guess that is just now. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So we recorded that in like January, February 2020.
Okay. Yeah. So right before
it all shut down. So then, mixing, mastering, promoting like through the spring, and then we put it out over the summer.
Nice.
It's called A Small Remaining Quantity of Something. It's up on all the streamables, so go find it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Give it a spin. It's
cool.
I'll
link it in the description that nobody reads. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
I'm like, oh, check it out. I'm like, oh, where can I find it? I'm like, it's in the fucking description.
It's in the show notes. Yeah, I know. But it was fun. I love recording. I love tracking and doing all the takes and like, no, I can do it better. And like, that's just my favorite thing, finding tones, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, nice. And then you guys are, getting back into like kind of writing mode and stuff like that. I'm sure as summer, maybe fall hits or whatever,
we actually do a little bit. We do have a show on the books in August, and
there you go. Yeah,
we haven't really put it out there yet because it's still like, well, we'll see. But it's
shake off the dust, shake off the rust.
It's feeling good. It's outdoors. It's going to be like this big, not big, maybe, I don't know, but it's this outdoor thing up in Concord, and it's like not a festival, but it's like a weekend event for the city of Concord, the capital. So like. That'll be if nothing happens before that, which I wouldn't be surprised if there is nothing before that.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the first gig in like 18 months or something. So
yeah,
it's weird. Like, cause we had this plan, like we're going to gig all spring and summer and then take like the late fall and the winter off. And like, that's where we're going to record and write music and sort of bring it in. Cause New England winters are terrible and it sucks to gig in the snow. So like, we'll take off the winters. We'll just, bring it all in. And then that's what we were doing. And then the pandemic hit and we basically never got out from under our rock.
You're like, you know what? Cause it is easy to not play and get back onto things. Playing isn't a thing anymore, but it was easy for Kyle and I like to be like, oh yeah, okay, we don't got shows, so we ain't got to practice. Even though we're playing, still I think one of the reasons why, I do enjoy like Just in Case, because it is and was so different than playing, because of Brian, our drummer, was very like regimented. It's like every
practice.
Monday, 11 a.m. every Monday. If it differs, you've let us know.
I like that a lot, and like our practice was 6 p.m. Tuesdays, and that's sort of how it was forever. And it's nice because like we can just rely on it because we have lives, we're like adults with jobs and stuff. So
playing around that,
it helps to know it's always the same time.
Yeah, like shit, I can watch Frasier another time. So, but no, it's cool. So it's definitely like even just kicking the ass just to keep playing. I'm like, okay, I like that. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm stoked to have Just in Case going, and we're practicing even though we kind of have some tentative shows on the books and they're like outdoors and stuff like that for summer, but we're also just like they're writing and getting planning ready to record. I'm like, okay, we need to have these tight, we need to get these right. There's things that we're rewriting, relearning. We like throw the laptop and focus right and we record practice. I'm like, oh, okay, we got these ideas, and then we can hear it kind of change. It's cool.
Yeah,
but
that's kind of what we're doing, except like we're just doing it like programmed drums. We're doing it like straight into the computer, writing directly through monitors,
Hell yeah.
But so it's working out. Like we have some cool stuff. I'm really happy with what we have so far, but it's like, it feels so weird to shake off the dust of even like writing music. Cause like the pandemic has been just so shitty for like even staying motivated with music. So it's a weird feeling, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. No, I can hear that for sure. But I mean, you had mentioned the HX Stomp and stuff like that, and wanting to use that as like your like amp replacement. Have you done that yet?
I have played a couple shows like with it doing the full thing. One of them was just like a night of like stupid covers, so I didn't want to bring the whole rig.
Yeah.
And like I have thrown out my back from hauling the Vox around, and I'm tired of doing that. So, now when we're tracking and doing demos and stuff, I'm using the Helix or the HX Stomp just straight in. Like we're just going like line into the interface, and it sounds incredible.
Yeah,
and it's so consistent, which is great because like we can work on stuff at Matt's house, and then later in the week I can come here and load up the Logic session at my house and continue on it, and everything's the same.
Yeah, that's right.
Like they just plug it and turn it on, and the tones are exactly the same. It's so nice.
Did you? The next gig that you have coming up, are you going to try and just go straight? Like
I'm thinking about
like a hybrid rig where you're using the amp and the HX Stomp, or you just could be like,
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about going because I have the full size Helix as well, and I have an FR cab, the headrush cab.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking about bringing all that and doing some kind of like because the FR has a line out on the back or an XLR out. So I can use it as my own stage monitor and then still send front of house.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
So
I would say go with that. Like, I'm sure I don't even know what you have, but I'm sure it's lighter than the AC30.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Yeah, and like my
Yeah.
AC30 is in a flight case too, so which is great. I love that. I love how it sounds. I love how it feels and plays and stuff. But at some point,
I
it's
ain't
like,
going on any flights, baby.
well, yeah, but like, it's that whole thing of like, well, it would probably survive a fall out of the back of a truck.
Yeah,
you know, versus, or like if I fumble it getting off the sidewalk or something like that, which does happen.
Yeah, and then kind of rolling stuff and kind of using it as a cart. It's cool.
Yeah.
I had one for my AC30, but it was like at a certain point, like when we had a road case for Kyle's 410 cab, and they were very cool, and it was fucking rad to roll into venues when we were on tour with that shit. But I'm like, no. At a certain point, I'm like, this takes up so much fucking space.
And it's so much extra weight. Like, they're really convenient for moving the gear, but it adds like, 20% of the weight of the amp right back to it. So, like, I love the AC30. Mine currently needs some work, but, and I'm probably not going to get rid of it, maybe ever, but it's just like increasingly less practical.
Yeah, and like, you're like, I'm probably not going to use this thing.
Well, like, let's be real, right? We play shows that are like 30 minutes at worst, right? And like up to an hour. So is it worth me, hauling this thing around in my car and like lifting it into the back of my car and out of the back of my car, the rolling it in and out of the venue, stairs, people in the way, super annoying.
Yeah.
For 35, 40 minutes and like $20? No way.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do next as far as a project, but I'm kind of like thinking that I'm like, oh man, I might be able to get away with, I have an AD15, the orange, like it's a 1x12. I'm like, I'm thinking I can fucking get away with just that if I did use only an amp. Or,
because like anywhere you go is going to mic you up anyway.
Or if I didn't, I wonder if that could get over drums. Like, you feel like there's like bars that are like maybe like 70 capacity that are sick, like the punk rock kind of bars, and they're just like, here's a practice PA, fucking figure it out, anyways.
See ya. Yeah,
yeah. I'm just the door guy. There's no sound guy. Figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, I wonder if like 15 watts is enough. I'm still like debating. I haven't like done it since like a band practice.
Right. And the room can really play into that so much at that.
And I did
size.
have it like raised up on top of a 412. Didn't use the 412. I just used that, and it worked out. But I'm like, it maybe ear level helped out. I don't know.
Probably, yeah. We played this show once where they didn't have mics for the guitar cabs, and like we were playing with a band that had 2 412s and Kempers, and they were fucking great. Like they sound amazing. They're huge. They're wicked loud. And I was up there with my AC30 looked like a little practice amp on stage. And it was like, all right, buddy, like, let's juice it. Here we go.
Yeah. It's like, like wide open.
And like, I run my AC30 jumped too. So it's both inputs, running pretty hot. Like my clean tone is not that clean, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
And then with the master volume, it was like, this amp is cooking, and it sounded so good. I like, that's the thing. Big amp, like not even a big amp, but AC30, wicked loud. Oh my god.
Do you have blues or greenbacks in there?
Greenbacks, yeah.
Okay.
I got it used years ago. AC30 with a flight case for like $700. I couldn't believe it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was a great deal. And just I never really looked further into it. I've retubed it once. But right now it needs like the spring tank is like disconnected. I think a wire broke. This has happened to like every amp that I've ever owned. The reverb tank breaks. But that's the kind of thing. Like Helix doesn't wear and tear when I throw it in the car.
Well, sometimes it'll just wear and tear if it just sits on your fucking desk.
I mean, I've seen people talking about like the foot switches wearing out.
No, I'm just like you're throwing shade.
Yeah,
because my setup. It's so far since it came back the third time. My HX Stomp is going gold. It's
good,
green.
Good.
It hasn't caught on fire like the fucking wireless pack.
Oh God, I know.
Like,
I feel so bad about that. I have a dream for Helix 2, if that ever becomes a thing, is to include some kind of wireless pack like that. But
Well,
Maybe unless it catches on fire.
yeah. But I mean, my whole thing, and we've gone back and forth about like how like I was like, oh, my line 6 stomp is fucking up, and I'm like, this fucking piece of shit. I was hot. I was hot. The thing got me hot. I'm cooled down now. I like the new update. It's cool. I think I'm gonna leave it because I got it right next to my salt rock lamp. It looks sick. It's
you got the whole battle station setup.
Yeah, that's the move, man. The R battle stations. I got to take a photo and see if it works.
When 3.1 came out, I like in the movies, I just like wiped everything off my desk, and I just like slammed the Helix down in front of my keyboard, like in place of my keyboard. I was like, plug it in. 3.1 is here.
I think it was like you and RJ. Like it was simultaneous like messaging, bro.
It's out.
It's rocker verb in here.
They don't announce like it's coming on this date. They're just like, here you go. It's here. Have fun. And there's a new dirty channel from a rocker verb 100 watt Mark III. Yeah, and it's great. It sounds so good. I'm super into it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely like I'm not so much of a fractal versus Helix thing. I do like my fractal sounds a little bit more than the Helix, but they're not much different,
They're not. And we talked about this last time. Where 100%. Like it's kind of like doesn't really matter what you use anymore. But it's I like what you feel comfortable with, and
I like knowing both. I wish I was like fucking like Rhett Shull or like Rabia, where I can just have everything, well, and be able to speak all the languages.
Well, I think also like you probably like fractal more, at least right now, because you are so experienced with it, and like if it doesn't sound how you want, you know exactly how to get it to sound how you want.
Yeah,
and like learning a new platform, like I don't know shit about fractal. I've never even seen one in real life. So like, and I live like 45 minutes from where they're made. But like I've never been there. I've never seen them. So I know they're amazing, but I wouldn't know how to turn the thing on. So
and all these things, I don't know. There's so many good ways of getting sounds, and and people ask me, I'm like, what do you think about the Helix? I'm like, it's great when it works. And I'm like, buy the fucking thing new so you have the 2-year warranty. That's my best advice.
Yeah, I got the Stomp new. I got the Helix used for like the guy was giving it away. It was amazing.
Was it like a thing where the guy got it? I'm like, I can't figure this thing out.
No, I don't think so.
Amp, cable, Les Paul, straight to Marshall.
Guitar, cable, amp. No, it was, it came with a bunch of IRs on it, and it came with a bunch of this dude's presets. So.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, what's funny is like you can just plug it in and pull the IRs off. And so I downloaded it, like I made a backup and then factory reset it and put all my stuff on it. So now I've got basically 2 Helixes worth of stuff.
Yeah. You were hitting me up about like questioning about IRs. Have you dived more into that? Like, to me, I love the shit out of IRs because they're just easy. You just dump it on there. It sounds great.
They do sound great. So the thing about IRs that I'm still like not really familiar with is like what makes one IR better than another in the objective sense, other than like, well, I just like this one more. I get that. But I don't know like what is a good quality IR versus a bad quality IR. I cannot tell the difference sometimes, or I don't know what to look for. But I have amassed a small collection at this point, and I am basically always satisfied with using them. I'll kind of mess around with a few. It's like, maybe I want this one. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's that other one. And then it sounds like, if it sounds good, my saying is, if it sounds good, it is good.
100%. Yeah. So there's some that really do just stand out. When you get like, to me, I'm like, well, does that really sound like an oversized Mesa? I don't know. Fuck it.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, let me just go get my oversized Mesa and bring it into my bedroom to find out. Come on.
And then I'm hearing that, and I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm like, I throw on the AC30, like that sounds like a fucking AC30 cab. I'm like, okay, this guy is doing like ML Sound Labs. One of my favorite ML Sound Labs. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. ML Sound Labs like make some of my favorites. I'm like, I consistently just buy those, and I'm like, this sounds great. I don't know. Another one comes out, which I never need. I'm like, who's got a sale for like 30% off? I should just buy them. I'm like, it's just, you're buying just like,
it's more tools and like, right. It's more tools in your proverbial toolkit, you know?
Yeah.
Rick Beato has said on multiple occasions, having multiple speaker cabs is just as, if not more important than having multiple amps. So like, I don't know, like just messing around with the cab settings, and at least in Fractal and Helix and all this other stuff, also messing with the mics. Like it is a variable that so many people don't consider, I think, because like when we play shows, Matt, our other guitarist, plays a head and cab. So if there is a guy on the bill that is bringing a cab, everybody uses it and they just bring their heads. It's so much easier.
Yeah.
So like it's some Marshall cab or some orange cab, and it's like whatever, as long as it gets loud for the stage, that's all we care about.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's not something you can really do. Like most people would have one cab and then maybe buy a few heads.
Yeah.
For their own collection or something. But now it's
totally. Like,
yeah, now I can run a Mesa Boogie whatever into 1,000 different cab options, and they're all going to be different.
Hell yeah. No, it is, I don't know, the digital world. I think we're both like sold on it. People are like listening, like, shut the fuck up about these things.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I guess we're still on the what's new. You got anything
Christ.
else? That's how the show's going to be.
Yeah. What else is new? Not a whole lot. We're doing podcast pedal demo live streams these days over on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So those,
you're kind of launching, your guys' Tone Control YouTube.
Yeah, so we're trying to do that. We do the podcast in Discord, and if you're a Patreon supporter, you get access to the recording channel, which you can like listen to us record every on recording night. You can like
you tune in live.
Yeah. And there's a chat and stuff, and like we interact with the people in the chat. It's super, super fun. So what we started doing was like with OBS, which is like, broadcast streaming software that's free and crazy powerful. That communicates with Discord and all of your audio stuff and all this and that. So now we're basically broadcasting out of Discord and recording it and then publishing that to YouTube. So now we've got the podcast on podcatchers as well as on YouTube, which it wasn't before. So there's
video element of the podcast,
there's face cams and there's like a screen capture, so when we're talking about gear, like we can pull up the website and people can see that, and it's we've only done one episode with that so far, but it's neat. And I'm also doing live streams every couple weekends on YouTube, doing the Pedal Genie segment demos. So like when Pedal Genie they're a sponsor for the show, so they send us gear to demo. I have to demo it for the podcast anyway. I was like, why don't we just turn on a camera and do it live? So,
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like you figuring out the pedal and how to use it.
Yeah.
Because you guys demo it in like a song context.
Right.
And you talk about it,
right.
on the show. And so this is like the live stream is you figuring out the pedal and like how to write a song about it. And so it's really cool for like people who aren't songwriters. I'm like, how does someone use gear? And not just like, this is the way you do it. It's like, this is how I do it. It's pretty cool.
It's not even like, well, here's an E chord. Because then like so many demos could just be random chords or scales.
Yeah.
But we like to include drums and sometimes bass and layered guitar stuff and, proper mixing and all that. So
kind of like a real world context of like, okay, musically, how would you use this fucking thing?
Right. And so they're usually under a minute, and it's just a quick like show off what this thing can do. And it's usually a couple of different tones, like a rhythm tone and a lead tone if it's like a drive thing, or try to just like highlight what's inside the box. I got I have one here, came today, the Beatronics Octahive.
Okay, nice.
So we're going live with that on May 1st at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is 10 a.m. your time on YouTube.
Yeah, on their YouTube channel. I'll link it in the description and stuff like that. Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. What's new with you, Brian?
Oh, there you go. I was waiting for it.
Sorry for talking your ear off for 33 minutes. Jesus.
No, fucking. It's all good. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, obviously, Kyle's not here, but the news, he made it to Austin, and barely by the sound of it.
Oh, really?
We were texting. the Vic made it. It made it to Austin, but man, that was
how long a drive?
It was like 1,500 miles.
Oof.
But he kind of went out of his way. We're gonna save his story when he's on. But it's like he has some car issues. So we just put it there.
Oh my God.
I think we talked about it like on a previous episode. He was having issues even before he left. So then I'm like, Jesus, dude. I'm like, why? Okay. He's like, it'll be cool. And I'm like, oh my God. I think he was like, anyway. We'll save it for his. But I even had car issues this week.
Oh no.
And that's like that's the fucking worst. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
I know nothing about cars.
I don't either. I got a new car like 2 years ago. Year and a half ago. And I only got it because my old car was like, I've just kind of had enough of you.
Just gave up the ghost.
Well, it was perfectly fine. It was just like, it probably needs like $1,500 of solid real world maintenance that I was just really not that into.
Into like, pouring it into something that you're not really that stoked on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can get it. I got my truck. It's it's 04. So it's an old one.
It's getting there, yeah.
F-150, so Ford, it's your basic bro kind of truck. It's fine. It was like I just got new tires for it, so that's like for trucks it's
so
like
expensive.
For trucks it was like not even the most expensive one. It was kind of like lower to middle grade. It was $600 goddamn dollars.
I hate that. Like I just had a little hatchback and I needed new tires at some point, and I'm like, "Excuse me? It's how much?"
Pardon me?
Yeah.
It's like that meme, the direct deposit hits $1,400 for the stimulus, and it's like check engine light comes on. I'm like, motherfucker.
Yep.
You pee. But anyway, so I just got new tires like maybe like a week or so ago, and I'm like, whatever, fine. I know I needed them because they were like bald. It was like George Costanza, And I was like, okay, fine. I definitely need them. And then this past like week or like about a week, I was like this loud like. I'm like, oh my! It was loud as fuck. Like I pulled up to Kyle's house and he's like, "What the fuck was that? Was that your truck?" I'm like, "You were inside the house and you could hear it from the street." I'm like that. Ah, man. And so I like took it in and I'm like, But before I took it in, they're like, "Oh, it's kind of busy. Can you take it in after the weekend?" I'm like, "Okay." The whole weekend I was like. Thinking about it, I'm like, oh my god! I'm googling. I already have stuff up for sale as like amps and stuff like that from like gigging that I'm not gonna do, that I'm gonna sell.
Yeah.
Band's done, so I sell some of the amps. I don't need like 8 of them. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, that will cover it if it's really bad. And then I'm like googling, and then it's just like it's like a going WebMD.
Oh right, like it's the big one.
I'm like, I stubbed my toe. I'm like, this is it.
You have toe cancer.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
This is it. It's my time. You're gonna die yesterday. And I'm like, oh. So I Google like ticking sound F-150. I'm like, yeah, it could be a CV. What the fuck was it? It was like a CV joint. And I'm like, oh my god.
Constant
I don't know what the hell that
joint,
is.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm like, cost for that repair could be like $700 to $900, or if you do it yourself, $500 for the part. I'm like, I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah, and then you got to learn how to do it yourself. There's a certain amount of like, leave it to the professionals.
It's like, exactly. And then it's like, oh, it could be one, or you might need to replace both. I'm like, holy shit, this quickly turned into $2,000 worth of like for this hunk of shit that I have.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I'm looking up again. And then my dad's a car guy, so I talked to him about it. He's like, oh, it could be transmission. I'm like, no!
The thing about stuff like new tires and things like that, like it's a necessary expense, obviously.
Yeah.
But you cannot really enjoy that expense. It's not like it's not like new shoes for yourself, or it's not like a new guitar where you're like, yeah, I'm having so much fun with this new piece of gear. It's like, well, new tires, great. It drives still.
It's only just like a peace of mind. I'm like, hopefully, like, I'm pretty sure this thing won't blow up when I'm on the freeway.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so I'm like, he's like, oh, it might be. I'm like, you know what? Shut the fuck up, Dad. Don't put that bad mojo in there, bad juju. And I'm
only
like,
tell me good news.
No, exactly. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like looking up all the bad things that it could be. I'm like, oh, this could be like $900, $2,000, $4,000. I'm like, oh my god! And I took it in. It was the parking brake. One of the I think that one of the parking brakes in the front broke.
Oh man.
And he's like, oh, it's $160.
Oh,
like,
there you go, dude. Yeah.
Hot diggity dog.
Nice.
So it's just funny that it's like, yeah, you could totally be like, oh, I sprained my ankle, and you WebMD. I'm like, yeah, no, you're dead.
Yeah, you're gonna die. Yeah, that's all there is to it.
Yeah, but that's kind of my truck news. It's still going on. My goal is to I would love to get that truck up to 200,000.
My old car was at like 180 and change when I traded it in for $400.
I'm at 146 on mine.
Okay.
So
okay.
For 04, I mean, we're going good.
Yeah.
I try and treat that thing as good as I can, but still, you can only polish a turd so much,
Yeah, and like for me, I was just getting tired of my car. Like it was uncomfortable at that point. Like I just hated being in it, And it was, I mean, it wasn't that old. It was a 2009. But
yeah,
it was closing in. It was 180, I think 83,000 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
it was up there, and it was just like, it was small and not really big enough for what we were doing these days. So,
Yeah. So I'm not knocking on wood. I'm like, give me another year or two. And I'm like, come on, give me another year or two, and then I'll save up and I'll get a new car. At least get that down payment going on. But that's the truck news. And I did as far as guitar music goes, I did finally get like a demo video out. Like for the YouTube, I'm trying to like stick to like if I could do like a video a month.
Yeah.
That's my goal for now.
Yeah, because you're also a podcast.
And I also have like a fucking job.
Yeah.
And I also like to, fucking chill.
To live my goddamn life.
I'm a fucking chiller, dude. But I had the Ibanez Slam Punk, so check it out on YouTube.
I watched that today.
And I'm very proud of it. I'm finally understanding like the things that I like about cameras, about like ISO and frame rate and da-da-da. I'm like, definitely owe a lot of it to like I'm just bugging like Brian, our drummer, and especially Eric Marrow, YouTuber.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy. He's super nice, and I say it. You could message him and he'll answer you, and I'm like, dude, I'm asking him the dumbest fucking questions. He's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff. It's great. I did YouTube for a little while, like not before the Tone Control, but like before our YouTube venture. And like I was a photography minor in college, so like awkward flex about that. But like the camera stuff I'm always really interested in, so I know what you mean. Like it's really fun to see that and like get the results. You're like, oh my God, I'm doing it. Like it's not this is how they do it.
And I'm learning shit about Final Cut.
Yeah,
I'm getting quicker with my edits. Like to me, I'm like, not that it's a 5-minute fucking video. And
but it takes you 3 days to make it. Right?
Like I think the editing part, I haven't like documented how long it takes to, like from start to finish to make one time wise. But I mean, editing it, I got it done in under an hour.
Nice,
because I'm learning all these things. I'm like, oh my God, I know my parts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, syncing audio to it so I don't even have to do it because Final Cut, I paid $200 goddamn dollars. It does it for me. I just got to push a fucking button. And then like you could do multicam setups and you just click which camera you want. I'm like, oh my God, I was doing the hard way of clicking and dragging and everything.
Yeah, we shot a video for one of the Delaney songs, our first single off that EP. We did over the summer, and fully self-produced, engineered, shot, edited, all in-house. And I did the editing and like we sort of all co-produced it. But like, it was a multicam GoPro inside a car shoot, and it's hilarious and stupid. But like, you should see that Final Cut file. It's absurd. It's like a bazillion cuts.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm learning my shortcuts to get the cuts in Final Cut. And it's cool. But I think I was just getting some like feedback, not like, like no one like was like, bringing torches out. But it was the Slam Punk video. So if you haven't seen it, I guess, spoilers. I really didn't like the fucking pedal.
Well, here's the thing, folks. Brian's allowed to not like stuff.
And nobody was like getting upset, but it was just kind of like some people like messaged me and it was like jarring to be like, whoa, man, you kind of didn't give that thing. You have to understand. Well, it's a plastic pedal. I'm like, it's not always going to sound the way you want. It wasn't that bad. I'm like, I even said in the video, I never said it sucked or it's
right. I was going to say, like, you were pretty gentle. You were just like, I don't really like this. I'm gonna give it back. And like, it's a perfectly harmless way to put it. You're not like, and if you buy this pedal, you're a horrible person.
No, and then I even said, like, it has a usable sound that I made work in the song. Because I like to demo pedals with a song and then do, like, a quick playthrough or whatever. The playthrough was you could hear, I'm like, yeah, that wasn't that great. And I'm like, in the song, I worked a lot to get it. Because there's the band, or the bass, the drums. I EQ'd the shit out of that thing to try and get it to, like, work in it. And I was texting you about, I'm like, I used $1,000 orange amp.
Right.
I use like a $2,500 custom guitar. I use IRs. I use all this shit to make that pedal sound the best that I could in the song. And it still wasn't that great.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, first of all, it's totally okay to not like stuff. And I think you review and YouTube culture right now, especially with gear, probably not just guitar gear, but I know this is certainly true with camera gear as well. Like, it's all promoted these days. So honest reviews that are like, this is how it sounds. I don't really like how it sounds. Like that's a really valuable opinion because Ibanez isn't paying you, right? It's not like, or the pedal distributor isn't paying you or anything like that, that's a different thing. Like there's been a lot of YouTube stuff lately, or like people talk about the disclosures of whether something's promoted or not.
Yeah, that's been a bigger thing now.
Yeah.
I've noticed.
And like our show, like I mentioned, we're sponsored by Pedal Genie, but they just send us pedals, which is a thing they do or do not do. And like that's all the service is. If you sign up for Pedal Genie, they send you pedals. And that's like a binary thing. It's great. They like, I choose what they send us. You know, I make a wish list and they just pick from that and send me something. Mm-hmm. If that pedal's a dud, that's not their fault. So like,
it's like kind of on the brand. You can give your honest opinion.
Yeah,
and it wasn't like I didn't get a whole lot of flack. It was just some people messaged me like, "Hey man, you know, you just didn't give that a shot." I'm like, I did give it. I legit made a song about it.
You're right. If you really hated it, you wouldn't have done it. But like,
and also, I'm like, I didn't even shit on it. And I think it was like
a friend of like you weren't shitting on it at all.
Yeah, I think a friend of both of our shows, Sean Wright, he's a wise man. He's a wise guy over there. He gave me the thing. I was like, be honest with your reviews and what you do for videos, because like people will gravitate towards that. Mm-hmm. But also like, don't be stupid and just shit on something because like you're doing like a fucking like Comedy Central roast or something.
Well, like I just had
give a reason why you don't like it. I'm like, it's tough to work.
Sometimes it's hard to pin down. Like I had the Maris Enzo last week.
Yeah.
Which is a synth pedal, and Maris makes some of the greatest gear. It's an amazing piece of kit.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of fun with the pedal. I don't want to own it. Like it's not for me. But I made a hell of a fun demo and had a great weekend with it, you know. But like it doesn't make it a bad pedal. I'm just like, I don't need this. And
put that right back in the box and send it to Pedal Genie.
Yeah, and like I like to think that's helpful for some people, because like it's a $300 pedal that does a very specific thing.
Yeah,
and it's not that you can't make it work, but it's like really evaluate if you want that.
Yeah, and it could be also too just like you said, like the YouTube culture with like camera gear, with like it could be with like Linus Tech tips on computer shit or what guitar gear, especially. They're not going to get that stuff unless they like say it's good.
Yes,
because companies could be like, oh, I'm going to take a whim, and on a whim, I'm just going to have like Glenn Fricker shit all over me. I'm like, that might be good press.
So tired of that guy.
And like even so, yeah, I haven't watched him in a while. I watched one of his things the other day, and I was like, it's okay.
He's still yelling? Okay.
Yeah. I used to watch him a lot, and I haven't because I just time-wise. I really liked it. Phil McKnight.
Yep.
And he said, I mean, this was years ago when I used to watch him. He said sometimes I'll get stuff, and I get a lot of stuff because of the size of the channel. And it's like, if I don't like something, I'll let the company know and send it back, because like I don't want to make a negative video, because one, it's a waste of my time, and I don't want to have negativity out there, and it just doesn't look good. And blah. He had all these reasons that made sense. And he's like, so you might, that might be some people's opinions of like, I don't want to put negative shit out there. And not that I went for that. I thought it would be a fun video. And I, obviously
it's also like what you do with that info. Cause you're saying that you don't like it and like you had to do a lot to make it work for you, but it doesn't make it necessarily a bad pedal, or it's not necessarily a reason someone shouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
Like form your own opinion. Here's mine. It's not like you're saying this pedal is objectively garbage. No one should buy it.
Yeah. And it's all my opinion. Like,
exactly.
I think I've talked about like my favorite best guitar in my world is my Equids with my Sonic, Crystal Palace and Evertune. And then a Gunstreet harness. I'm like, that in the on-off switch. I'm like, this is the best fucking guitar ever. I would never need anything else. And people play it. I'm like, oh, this is fun.
Right. Like, yeah. It's all
because they're like, where's the, you have no neck pickup, huh? Oh, that's on-off switch. Why would you need that? I'm like, so I don't, so I can turn it off in between songs. And they're like, oh, I guess that makes sense. Okay. It's pretty light output pickup. I'm like, yeah, I like that. He's like, oh, you want anything higher output?
Right. Like,
it's like, oh, you don't have a whammy bar or anything? I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that's bullshit.
I don't need it.
A bunch of guitars don't have whammy bars. Go to hell.
But it's like kind of like a thing of like, you could break down anything, but if you preface it as this is my favorite or my opinion.
Yes, I 100% that's kind of agree.
That's what I like, because people are like, what? I'm like, I never said fact. The fact is, this is my opinion.
You're not saying it's the best guitar. Like you're saying it's your best guitar or your favorite guitar.
100%.
Yeah. Like my favorite guitar is my double humbucker Telly that I made.
Yeah.
And it's a weird one. Like there's not much out there that is like that. It's kind of like a Les Paul which got pushed into a Telly mold.
Yeah.
And
it's like a Les Paul that's like more hardier. Like the headstock is not going to snap off.
Yeah. So it's
close your eyes too fast.
Right. A stiff breeze.
Yeah.
But like I built this guitar to like, not like I didn't like make the wood or anything, but it's a parts caster that I organized and custom ordered everything for. So it's like a bunch of kind of weird pieces I'll put together. It's got a Telly barrel style bridge, but 2 humbuckers that are PAF style. It's double bound. It's got a 10-inch radius instead of a 9.5 or a 12. So it's kind of in between Fender and Les Paul stuff. It's got stainless steel frets and like by all accounts in a thin C neck. So it's really a weird guitar, but it rips. It is absolutely the best thing in my house. Like it is so, it's my favorite thing. And it sounds great, plays great. Everybody's like, wow, look at that thing. And they pick it up and they're like, what is happening? Like, this isn't a Fender, is it?
And then you also, I mean, you also have like more expensive guitars, like the bigger name brand ones of like Gibson and like, do you have like PRS and stuff like that? And
I have a proper Les Paul traditional from 2017. I got a great deal on it. So it is a valuable guitar. It didn't cost me a ton of money, but it was an amount of money, but it wasn't like, these $2,500 standards or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have a PRS, but it's an overseas model. It was under $1,000.
But your go-to is the one that you parts catcher that you made.
Yeah. And like part of that might be because I made it, but like it's because it's custom to me. Like your Equitz is custom to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so as much as I would love to check out your Equitz, it's still not going to be the Derek model. It's going to be the Brian model. So like that's just the thing. And like Matt has a Telly that's kind of his custom deal. And it's very different from mine. And like, I feel it's very awkward for me to play it sometimes when I pick it up, but I don't know, man. Like what you like, fuck the rest.
100%. But yeah, I don't know. It was just a thing. And not that like, it was like disparaging or whatever that I didn't get any like crazy comments. It's just people like, wow, you a little, cause I think as I do the YouTube videos, I kind of want to have more of the same personality that I do in the podcast on there. If like, I'll be honest. And I think some of the first videos that I did, oh my God, you could go back and watch them. They're on there. It was like a year or so ago. I did the 1981 video. I looked like a robot. I was like dead-eyed.
You're like nervous about it.
Because I wasn't comfortable in front of a camera.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit better now. And but I also don't want to go like too wild of like, it's like fuck shit fuck fucking bitch,
right.
Which I'm like that's how I talk, but also I'm like,
well, you want it to be engaging content still, and like,
some people are like, man, this guy is really dumb. I'm like, you're correct, but
this guy's an idiot.
This guy's a moron. He's like me.
But like I had a B-Tronics pedal before the one I have here, and I had the Fat B, and I demoed it, and I was just like, it's an overdrive. Like I don't have much else to say. Like it's fine. Good, not great. It's not doing it for me,
Yeah.
Like the world doesn't need more overdrives, let's be honest. But like it's fine. And like I still gave it the whole deal. I did a big demo with it and stuff, and it was I was happy with what I wrote for it, and the mix sounded good and stuff, but I was like, I would not own this. I would not go buy it. I probably wouldn't recommend it. But that's not, like I said, it's not Pedal Genie's fault. And B-Tronics isn't coming at me about it, because like I could have bought it from my local guitar shop and done the same thing and said the same thing.
Yeah.
And then what are they going to, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So that's my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like using your own platform. And it's also a thing too, I guess with both of our platforms and podcasts or whatever the fuck, like we can say whatever we want, because I'm like, I have a day job. Like I'm not like relying on companies to pay me to say stuff. I'm like, and this is just, every story's different. But I'm like, I think some, like if Peter McKinnon shit on something, do you think companies would be like, oh boy, I want to work with him?
Yeah, but also like, I mean, with somebody like Peter McKinnon, like if he shit on something, I would listen. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so it could go back to, like, I don't know, you could scale it back to like,
when you have millions of followers, if you're like, look guys, don't buy this. Like, for one, I think it would be kind of weird to make a point about it, but I would certainly listen to what he had to say.
if it was interesting and done with tact, I guess there's this is non-gear. I guess it's video game stuff. It's like I watched Wolf Den. He's the guy out of I think Brooklyn. He's got that kind of swagger about him. He's like really fun, but he loves like Nintendo shit, you know, retro Nintendo shit, new Nintendo shit. He's a big Nintendo guy, video game, and he's like, he'll say if something's bullshit or whatever, he'll say it. He'll be like, "This is why." I'm like, I tried to make it work, and it fucking took me like I had to take this thing apart for 6 hours, and on my Twitch I wasted that much time, and blah 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 blah. And he showed like little clips or whatever, and he'll just like, I'm not gonna shit on it, but this is why I don't like it. So he'll give a reason. But if you're just like, this fucking sucks because they didn't do a good job.
This thing sucks because I don't like it is not a reason. You don't like it because you don't like it. That's fine.
But anyway, that was my whole thing. So I at least I think with tone control and tone jerks, you get some honesty over there.
There's some alignment here. Yeah. It's the platform. It's like that fully self-produced thing that we're just like, I can say what I want. And like sometimes when you have a platform, there are certain things that are worth risking it for. And like guitar pedals aren't that thing. Like honestly, even though our platform's about guitar pedals, like whatever.
It's like we shoot you straight over here. Yeah, but anyways, that was a long fun. I mean, we're riffing as we go. Riffing. We'll go along here.
I put the word out that we're
did too. Yep.
Okay, so I got a few things that
I was like, we're recording with Derek. What do you guys got?
So I got a few from our community that I just want to cruise right on by that we don't have to touch on because I think they're pretty funny. Andrew Walsh, a patron of both our shows, says, I should just let you practice your stand-up routine.
Oh, you got any jokes?
I don't.
Man, because I've been doing a couple open mic routines on the past couple of podcasts.
I should have just let you practice it on me for an hour.
Yeah. Because the band is done, so I've been working.
No, you got to get those gigs somehow.
Yeah, so I got to get some open mic gigs. I don't have anything this week. I got to work on it.
Eric from our channel wants to know your top 10 pop punk bands in order.
I don't know. I guess
I mean, I think he's mostly kidding, but
in order.
I think the in order part's really hard.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody, I'll put him. I'm just gonna throw him out of order. I don't know. You got Blink for sure, Sum 41, Newfound Glory, Amex PX, Green Day, Sugar Cult. Did you ever listen to Sugar Cult?
We used to cover Memory.
I fucking still love the shit out of them. I found like their old DVD, Back to the Disaster on YouTube. I love it. I was watching it again last night. I'm like, what am I doing watching this? Is like a band that's defunct from 2005. I'm like, man, that's awesome.
What a riff.
And then, Starting Line. Mm-hmm. What am I?
You got 3 more.
7. Yeah. Let's see. There's a band. It was local, so sorry for non-San Diego people. I think you can find it on YouTube. Larger Than Life.
Okay.
They're very, compared to like earlier Newfound Glory, and then Newfound Glory hit, and then they were like, "Oh, you're a ripoff."
We're doing that thing, but better.
Yeah, that sucks. Let's see. I don't know. There is super niche, or it's very like I don't know, guilty pleasure, not niche. It's guilty pleasure. Good Charlotte. I love the Young and the Hopeless.
Yeah, I remember when that came out. I learned a bunch of songs from that record.
Baltimore, baby. And then, I don't know, could you say that, like, Millencolin, are they pop punk?
I don't know what that is, but sure.
Millencolin? I guess they're like a epitaph band.
Oh, yeah, why not?
Yeah, let's throw that in there. So that I could say that. You could mix them in any, 10-card shuffle, and then
that'd be a good order, yeah.
Except for Good Charlie, you got to put that more towards the bottom.
Who's your least favorite co-host of the Tone Control?
Least favorite
co-host of my podcast.
Yeah, it's probably
100% kidding.
It's got to be.
There were a lot of least favorite requests, like least favorite gear podcast.
least. It's got to be Justin. Although I was thinking of hitting Justin up to do like a nerdy like recording episode.
Yeah, man, do it.
I'm just saying him because he's not here. Let's talk shit.
Good save.
He's
good save. Somebody asked what favorite analog delay pedal. I don't really collect delay pedals like that. I don't know.
Carbon Copy.
Carbon Copy is the one that came to mind first, of course.
I have it in 3 iterations.
I've never owned one, but I do like...
what the fuck are you doing with your life?
I have a Strymon Timeline. I don't need to own delay pedals.
Sell the Strymon to get...
the most elitist thing I've ever said in my life.
I got 3 carbon copies. It's the best. It's the mini, the deluxe, and the regular.
Do you have the bright one?
I don't need it because I have that on the deluxe and the...
mini. Okay. There you go. Yeah,
it doesn't match the same color. It's none of the same color scheme.
That was the rundown from the tone control community. That's what they wanted to know.
And hell yeah. So this was on Instagram. I got 1. And they're like almost 250 people saw it, and 1 person responded. I'm like, thanks, guys. It was from Hippie Picks on at Hippie Picks. How guitar picks influence your tone?
Okay, my tone.
Yeah, I know. Tone could be like the literal sound out of it, or how you play.
I think how you play is certainly a thing. I don't know about tone. I mean, all right, that's.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know like certain type of picks. I know it was NAMM one year. I went to Graph Tech, and they were like giving away, or not giving away. They kind of were like showing off their picks, like the newest, or like whatever. I don't remember the name of it. I have it. It's cool, but I don't even know the name of it. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh yeah, I think they mentioned it on Gear Slum, how it makes like a tone, like a really loud noise as opposed to like a regular plastic
like
pick.
The attack is loud.
Like it's like boing. It's like audible. You can hear it.
Interesting.
Of how heavy it is, how like I guess how thick it is, but also it's light. So not the weight of it, but the thickness of it. And then it makes this like almost like it's like audible noise. Like boing, it's like, and then they're like, oh, that's good. And so it was like Gear Slum were like shitting on him, like, how does that fucking mean anything? Doesn't mean anything. And then I went to like the guy who was at the booth, and it's like a very professional booth, and obviously looking like how I do. And I'm like, I have a podcast called Tone Jerks. He's like, nice, dude. And I'm like,
can I help you?
I don't know. I'm like, can I have a pick? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, I'll talk about it. And I'm like, I own a Graph Tech nut and saddle. And I'm like, I already like the stuff. Can I have the pick?
Listen,
he's like,
I own one of your nuts. Can we strike a deal?
I got the nut, the button nut, and then I got the fucking saddle. Come on. And he's like, yeah, you can just have one.
Give me the trifecta.
And he gave it to me. I'm like, sick. Thanks, dude. He's like, please leave. I'm like, I already have it. God damn it. Give me the fucking pick. I'm like, is it $5 Come on, bro. It's cool. I like it.
So I play jazz threes, and like I remember I must have been in high school. There was this Guitar World cover that had a picture of the jazz three on it, and it said, "Can this pick make you play better?" And because I was like 15, I didn't know any better, but I read the article, and I was like, I was pretty convinced it was bullshit, but convinced enough to try it because, like, why not? It's just a pick. Who cares? So I bought some jazz threes. They came in red and black, and they were different materials. I don't know what they were, but the black one would like stain my fingers after a while. So like I had like this weird black spot on my thumb. So I don't like the black ones anymore. But the red ones were the original. I again don't know what they're made of. Really fell in love with the jazz three, like a ton. And I don't know if it's because it's just some like mumbo jumbo from that article I read, or if whatever. But I do genuinely like them.
Yeah.
So now they make them in like a bunch of different materials.
Is it weird to play anything that's like, because jazz are pretty small?
They're small,
right?
yeah. They're really.
Is it weird
tiny.
to play like a regular Tortex?
It is. It feels like I'm playing with a frisbee. It's it is weird. It's not like I can't do it or anything. It's just like it feels floppy, and I feel like I can hear so much more pick noise. And I think that's what I really prefer about the Jazz 3 or the smaller picks in general, is that it's just, it feels like more guitar noise and less of that plastic, like clicky sort of pick noise. And maybe it's just because I'm hyper aware of it, because the shape is so different and it feels different, and then I'm like looking for differences. I
think that's what the thickness of picks get. I get out sometimes. Of it. It's like it just is the guitar. The pick is out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like the pick to kind of not be there for the most part. When I play like acoustic, I like really thin, like 0.50.
Yeah, really thin.
Just so
because it gives it that like woodier quality, like on acoustic.
And it's almost like its own compressor. As hard as you fucking hit on it, it's not really going to get much louder because the pick just kind of like, we're just going to get out of the way now.
Yeah, you just lose a bunch of energy in the pick.
100%, yeah.
So like I play the right now, like I don't really play the red ones much anymore because at some point Dunlop changed the tooling on their like punch out for those picks, and there was a little bump on the back end of like, you know, like the opposite of the pointy end. And I could feel it, and it would like scrape on my finger, and it was really distracting and annoying. And so I would either have to like sand all my picks off because there was this like registration mark, or like something how they punched it out of the thing. But then they started introducing the Ultex ones and the Tortex ones, which don't have any tooling marks. So I got those.
Yeah, the Ultex, that's my jam. Is the Ultex, the 1.14 sharps. So they're bigger than Jazz.
Yeah, it's like is it the Jazz XL?
It's kind of no. It's called the sharps. So they're kind of like think of like a Dunlop, but not as pointy as the Dunlop or Tortex sharps. It has its own unique shape. Those are my fucking favorite 1.14s. Those are the way to go. And I'm like, I'm picky about picks. Yeah. I made that joke before we even started recording.
Yeah, we're like, oh, save that.
Yeah. Oh my god, this is gonna be good for the show. I totally haven't used that before. Yeah, a bass. I like the gravity. Like I've come back. They fucked me over by changing the formula, and then I shit on them, and they reached out to me and gave me the Gold Series Razor 1.5s. That's my bass pick. I am gonna buy those. I'll buy like 5 of them, and that'll be my bass picks for probably next 2-3 years. If I don't play that on bass, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't play a ton of bass, but I would just grab a Jazz 3 probably.
And I can. And then the thing is, I know both of us, we can play with whatever pick.
Oh yeah, I'll play with a quarter.
We're gonna make it work. But it's also like if your preference. I'm like Ultex 1.14. That's the move for guitar.
For me, like I will always enjoy an Ultex because at least, especially on the Jazz 3s, they're not printed; they are embossed. So like the lettering is all raised, which gives it this extra grip, and I really like that. Something else to hold on to. If my hands are sweaty, Tortex just falls out of my hand like every time. It just gets so slippery after a while. And
I think the model of Ultex that I have is just printed in smooth. And I don't mind that because I'm like a fucking gecko, dude.
the Jazz 3s I've played except Tortex. The Tortex ones are printed. But all the other Jazz 3s have raised lettering. And I think it's just like such a killer thing. Because like there's all these stories about like Dimebag like taking a dart and scratching up picks and stuff so they were easier to hold on to. Like it's a real thing. And you know, when you're fucking shredding, you need to hold on.
Yeah. But no, that was good. See how long we could do talking about picks?
Yeah.
I went to our Facebook group. Let's see. Carson Ricketts. He says maybe talk about the HX Stomper plugins. Yeah, we unintentionally did.
Yeah, HX Stomp is great.
Well, I mean, you know when it works. And let's see. Andrew Walsh. It's a double one. He said name your least favorite Tone Control host. It was fucking Justin. Get the fuck out of here. Hit the bricks, pal. He's not gonna know. Let's see. Carson Ricketts. He says, more seriously, what do you guys think of contemporary pop punk versus what you guys grew up listening to? I think you and I are probably about the same age, right? I'm 32.
I'm 33, right?
Yeah,
yes,
so
33.
You know, I'm going to be 33 in July, I think.
Right, I know.
But we kind of grew up around the same age, same time. We kind of like the same band. So like retro emo night for us is like, this is current playlist.
Yeah.
like I said, like Sugar Cult to me, I'm like, this is great, good current tunes.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like a pop punk guy that much really. Like it was in some rotation, but I was more like alternative rock, album rock kind of stuff when I was coming up. So stuff like Jimmy Eat World, Audio Slave, Incubus was a huge influence for me at the time. Fountains of Wayne, like those kinds of bands. Everclear, oh my god. And that's not to say that other pop punk stuff wasn't in there, like Blink-182, obviously. Like, who didn't have Enema of the State, right?
Or, yeah, even like the self-titled one for me, I was like, it changed my life. And then, you know, I was thinking like just the older stuff. On the radio, they played American Hi-Fi.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome. And I was like at work, they're playing it, and I was like, I work with just age range kind of there, but a lot of them that I manage happen to be younger, like early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, what station is this? This is awesome.
Classic rock.
They're like some oldie station. I'm like, oh, look here, you little shithead.
First of all, how dare you?
Second of all, fuck you.
Yeah.
You're fired.
Though, like when the questions about like modern pop punk, what was the reference, like the Wonder Years? Did I see that?
Oh yeah. Story so far, Day to Remember, stuff like that. Are you like ever listening to like newer pop punk stuff?
Yeah. So like the Wonder Years is like super important to me. I remember I really fell off of pop punk for a while, and then somebody whose musical opinions I really respect posted like The Greatest Generation is like one of the greatest albums of our time. And I was like, yeah, that's a bold claim. Like, I'll go listen to it. And I was like, fuck, this guy's right. And I was like, this is all I can describe it as is like really heartfelt, complicated pop punk. Because there's like, with bands like the Wonder Years, there's like way more going on under the surface than you might think. 3 guitar players in that band. There's bound to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah.
So it's I love them. I've seen them live once. It was great.
I think No Closer to Heaven.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me that. I love the shit out of it.
So good.
I'll listen to that. And then their newest one,
Sister Cities.
Yes, yeah. That one is so good.
Yeah, I haven't put that on in a long time. Maybe I'll listen to that tomorrow.
Or maybe it's not even that new. But I'm like, that's the
newest one.
That's 2018. There's been 2 since.
What?
Raining in Kyoto. I love the shit out of that song.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I mean, I definitely am not like going towards listening to the newer pop punk stuff, but I'm like, if it's suggested, I'll listen to it, and I usually like it.
Oh, dude. So
actually, I think Carson suggested. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that's the thing. Like, I fell for an Instagram ad ages ago, and now I'm a huge fan of Tiny Moving Parts.
Hell yeah.
And I'm an Apple Music user, so somebody like came up in my like suggested listens from friends was this band called Hot Mulligan.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of them?
I have not. No.
Hot Mulligan. Hang on, let me find the name of that record. I've listened to it like 100 times this year. It's Hot. I gotta Google it. Hang on. Hot Mulligan. The song is the album. The song, the album, the band, the song, the album. It's called You'll Be Fine is the name of the album. Came out in 2020. Yeah. And it's new. And like they've got one record before that, I think. And the hooks, holy shit, the hooks, they're so good. I love that record. And it's like, I'm probably their oldest fan. I'm 33 and I'm probably their oldest fan. And it's kind of math rock, like emo Midwest pop punk stuff, like Tiny Moving Parts a little bit, but
yeah.
Awesome.
And it's hard to tell like what's newer or whatever anymore. I know Real Friends, I was listening to that, like I was on like tour with younger, like I think I was like 25, 26, and like people in the band were like 19, and they were telling me about a band called Real Friends. I was like, oh, I was getting into that shit because they would just play it the whole fucking time or sing it, and I'm like, oh, I started listening to it. But I think Carson actually like introduced me and told me about like what if I was going to jump into the story so far. It was Undersoil and Dirt, and that's a rotation of mine.
I'm not familiar with them.
That's actually I think maybe one of the only ones I've listened to. It's not even new. It's 2011, but I listened to the shit out of that. That's the newer pop punk stuff. So think of stuff that's like, I don't know, maybe the music is a little bit more complicated as far as more like the rhythms and stuff like that going. Because I think of like Green Day and Blink, where it's like right,
like the strumming patterns are far more complicated now, and like
and that's the biggest thing of new pop punk.
And Hot Mulligan, which I think I would definitely categorize as pop punk to a degree, they're using alternate tunings and stuff too. Like they're in this math rock kind of genre as well.
And then definitely like more experimenting and weirder stuff.
And like that's the thing, like with Wonder Years, I think is more experimental pop punk. Like they still do though, just like let's fucking go power chords, traditional chord progression patterns and strumming patterns. But they also get like really creative and like really kind of spacier at times than you'd expect.
Yeah, and even with like the Story So Far one that I had mentioned, the tones are just straight up just like, this is a 5150 just cranked. And it's gain and just like, it's like you didn't hear that like in the, it was like, 5150 with like Tube Screamer, like, really like staccato kind of thing, like palm mutes and stuff like that. Because it was like, if you thought of like Blink, yeah, he's using a mesa, but it's like the chords and structure or like the strumming patterns and stuff like that are a little, I don't know, it's more simple. So maybe that was like back in my day, it was easier to get into. To be I can easily play that.
Yeah, and it was like these patterns, like shape patterns on the neck, right, that you could kind of repeat in any key.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this song is a 145 pattern in D. Oh, this other song is a 145, but it's 20 BPM slower and it's in G. Right? Like it's largely the same.
Yeah, and then you can like kind of like, I don't know, like maybe get in, like, I don't know, maybe they're pushing the boundaries a little bit more than the pop punk that I listened to back in my day. As opposed to like,
well, don't forget, like pop punk from like that air quotes, older pop punk was pushing from punk rock. Like that was such a different thing as compared to like more traditional punk rock. And I think which is like the modern pop punk thing is doing the same thing to like this sort of older generation of pop punk. So
I think they're doing a better way of mixing ideas than back in like, not to say there's nothing, fucking love Sugar College, like I said.
Yeah. No, I know what
still
you mean.
like they're maybe doing a better way or more accurate way, or they have more to, like of a well to pull from of like ideas and song structures or like to throw at it that they know will work because it has already been done,
and also
so they can change it.
Yeah, and it seems a little bit less like the Wild West right now. Like before, it was like the distribution of music was not what it is today. Like like the whole viral thing, the social thing was not going on. Like when Enema of the State came out, obviously was it 2001? Yeah, 3 maybe. But like, you know what I mean. So now like there's such a proven and well cataloged track record of what works and what doesn't. So so many bands can just be like, let's take our thing and apply this model to it, and it should work.
You can discover your own favorite thing that might be so small.
Yeah.
I mean, Delaney could be somebody's favorite band from, Idaho.
Yeah, you never know.
Right. Because they could just get it on fucking Spotify.
Yeah.
Maybe you got it on a playlist. Maybe they found out about it. Maybe they listened to your podcast.
Dude, so like, it's from Apple Music stuff. Like I get an email every week with like Delaney stats, like who, like where it was played and all this stuff. And it's pretty, minimal. Let's be honest. There's like a handful of plays every week, but it tells me if our songs have been Shazammed. And like, which is nice. Crazy. And so like it gets Shazammed like all over the place, which means it's like playing somewhere in public that someone was like, what is this? And bothered to check. It's really interesting. Like we get a lot of activity in Atlanta actually, which is strange, but
you guys got to get a tour down in Highland.
We gotta hit that, the whole southern,
southern tour. You go, Dirty South, where Kyle is now.
Yeah.
I can't tell if Kyle's in the Southwest or Dirty South. Will Lehue likes to claim him. He's like, oh, he's Dirty South. I'm like, I don't know. I have
Texas?
No idea.
I think.
Yeah. Is everything.
Texas. Yeah, it's kind of all of it, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a giant fucking state.
I'd call it Southwest, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then here's the last one that I had that was like a real question. People say, who's Kyle? Why Kyle? What Kyle? And okay. This one is from Matthew. I'm going to butcher this one. Sorry. Matthew Fencelau.
Oh my gosh. No way. I think this guy sent me a friend request today.
Hell yeah. Nice. He said, my favorite episode of The Tone Control was when the Tone Jerks were on as guests and Derek kept asking where the hell you guys got the money to spend on gear. And you kept not answering him, which made me assume that you're running some kind of black market Crown Vic racing circuit. So just maybe do that again.
I like that idea.
Yeah, no. I think the real answer is not funny, but I'm going to see if I could turn it into a bit that I use. So I have like a friend, he has, he's into gear and stuff like that. He's got a, wife, he's got a kid, a newborn, about, about a year or so. He's like, man, I just wish I could just spend all my money on gear and do stuff like that. Like, if you're buying stuff or whatever, I'm kind of envious, not to be like, but I'm like, cause responsibilities and stuff like that. Like, oh man, how, I wish I was like single and didn't have a family like you, so I could just like spend gear like that. And I'm like crying. I'm like,
Yeah, but
thumbs up. Yeah, man,
it's great.
It is. It's awesome. I love it. That's the joke. I'm like, yeah, man, I love being alone.
Yeah.
I don't have a girlfriend or a wife or children, so I'm able to kind of put my money to things that I like and maybe unwisely invest it and stuff like that.
I don't know. It's a whole other thing, I guess. Like I keep my money like whatever. Like I'm married and we have money that we share and we have money that we don't. So like the money that we don't share, I can spend on whatever the hell I want. And a lot of times that's music stuff. So I don't know. Like I bought the Helix because I was like, it's a really good price for a used one. And, you know, just like a million other things kind of lined up really well. And like a lot of times I view my gear as like assets that are basically money. And if I like them and keep them, then that's great. And if I decide I don't want something, well, like I can just turn that into different gear.
Yeah, or you can like sell it. Because the thing is, like, there's got to be a want for almost everything gear related.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I can either, if I don't want it and I don't want to replace it, I can just sell it and boom, I have cash for something else. I'll go get a pizza. But like, so many times it's like, well, now I'm thinking about changing the size of my pedal board. And like I could sell the Novo 24 that I have and just downsize.
Like an 18 or something.
Yeah, and like keep the money in the board and it wouldn't really cost me much out of pocket.
Yeah, you can invest in like, oh, maybe I'll get, more cables or get this or get another pedal or utility or something like that.
Yeah, so like I often think about like, well, these two guitars are worth that one guitar. It's like I can trade that way and trade plus cash or something like that. Sort of break it up that way.
Or even just get rid of stuff. I know I'm definitely in the mode of like getting rid of stuff. I think I said last episode. It's if I'm not using it, not going to use it, and not bolted down, get the fuck out of here. I'm even like I have like an old DigiDesign M-Box.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes. I do.
I have an M-Box 2 in box still that I was using all the time. Mm-hmm. And I haven't back when I had Pro Tools 8, and the Apple OS supported fucking Pro Tools 8, but I haven't used it since, and I've always kept it as like a just in case backup. What if I'm like I have not ever needed it?
I know. I did the backup thing for a while, like with guitars even.
Like, why am I keeping backups for this fucking shit? So I listed it on like OfferUp, some like for $40, and some guy, oh, would you take 20? I'm like, yeah, I'll take 20 because sure. I just go buy fucking like a burger or fucking beer or whatever the fucking, and because I'd rather have that and get the thing gone. And the guy's gonna
like
use
getting
it,
so out of your face is worth something too.
And people are like, well, you paid $200 for it back in 2007. I'm like, yeah, it's not 2007 anymore. That's what I want in my head. I think I'm like, I gotta keep it because I paid that much money. I'm like, no, I don't. It's absolutely worthless to me now. Mm-hmm. It has potential to work if I do everything and jump through hoops to get it to work. I'm like, I don't need it. If my Apollo twin died on me, I'd be fucking pissed.
Yeah.
For one. But I would, hopefully get it repaired. But in the meantime, if I really needed an interface, I have my Focusrite Claret.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. I have it. I already have a backup for my backup that I don't need.
Yeah, and like I don't do nearly the kind of music production that you're doing at home, but like I have a Focusrite Solo. And that's what I'm podcasting through right now.
Yeah.
I don't need to though. Because guess what? I can podcast through the Helix too.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. We never talked about that, but yeah, you can do a mic into the Helix, but it just never fucking.
Which was
the big one, not the
big
stop.
one. Yeah, so that was one of the things I convinced was relevant to myself when I was shopping for it was like because it's got XLR in, so I could put the mic in it. It's got mic pre's that you can do, and you can add effects to your voice if you want. And put it on foot switches. Who gives a shit? But like, it would allow me to do. This is big for like singer-songwriter people. You can run like direct to PA, do your vocals and your guitar processing on one floorboard. That's pretty valuable.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you do all the effects and everything that you would want. Just to like, this is what I want you to sound. This is what I want to sound like. Just make it loud.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no, that's I don't know. That's an interesting question, but yeah, that's how I do it. I don't know. I don't have, like a family. So like if you're providing for a family, don't be stupid.
Yeah, I mean like or like you can just save up too. Like I'm saying
exactly 100%.
I haven't talked about this on my own show yet, but like I'm gonna probably be getting a Novo guitar, the guitar brand Novo.
Oh, hell yeah.
And but the wait list is like a year. So but in about 16 or so months, 18 months or so, I'll be done with grad school. So like I was thinking that's going to be a pretty righteous graduation gift to myself. Mm-hmm. So I've been saving for
I'm sure a down payment or something.
Yeah. So to get on the wait list, it's a $500 non-refundable thing. And then the rest is due when it ships. So fine.
Have you ever played those?
No, I haven't. And actually there's a guy around here who has one, like a friend of a friend. He actually played in Delaney for a minute before I joined. So once we're all vaccinated, like I'm going to go meet him and check it out. So
they look very, very, very cool.
Yeah.
But I've never actually played.
Me neither. And I have a feeling I'm pretty open when it comes to guitar stuff. Like I like a lot of things. I'd be floored if I didn't like it. And I really want to like it. So I'm pretty sure that I will. But I was going to get the Saris J, the Jazzmaster style one.
Yeah.
Custom order, all out, flame maple neck, big block.
Get everything that you want.
All the bells and whistles. Yeah. Because like I want to make it count. And I have been saving for a new guitar for years. And like a lot, I was doing some freelance work for a long time. And all that money went into like this rainy day fund.
Yeah.
And so it was then I got wise to Novo at some point. It was like, oh no, like this is it.
Yeah. And there's something to be said, or some people can knock of like, spend that much money on a guitar, but I'm like, it's yours if you make it right. And I say that as an advocate for like Equits or whatever.
Right. Right. And something like an Equits, like he's got his models that are his body shape designs, just like Novo does. And then you can buy one and kind of configure it to your thing, just like you could with Novo, Equits, Sir, whatever. And like, guitar, like handmade guitars in the US are expensive.
And
so what?
I don't know. And this is a dumb reason for it, but it makes it like my own thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and like,
you ain't going to be the guy at the bar because I could play that and people are like, what is that? I don't know. I've never heard of that. Anyway, it's not a Fender, so fuck. I don't care.
Yeah, and it's like that happens with my Blue Telly, the one I made. People see it and they're like, tell me about that guitar. Because it's relict and it looks like is approximately like a 63-ish era of Fender, like an early 60s style.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't have anything on the headstock and people are like, what is that? Like, it's just like, can you just not?
Well, people might want to know.
There's some people, they go and they're like, they ask, what year is that? And I say 2015.
Or my garage. That's where it came from.
Or like, that's not a real Fender, is it? Like, well, no, it's not a real Fender, but it's a real this motherfucker. yeah.
Look here, look here, shit ass. I got this. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. No. Okay. So I think that was kind of it for the questions that I had, and we're running long here, but I like it.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, obviously we could talk about this forever, which is why we both started podcasts.
Yeah. Like we're talking to you about it. I'm like, we just had a loose plan. I'm like, but the thing is, I'm like, we both do this. Like, you've been doing it for 8 years. We know how to do a podcast. So thanks so much, Derek.
Yeah, man.
For joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I had to pull in the favor, and I even like last minute scheduling. We made it work. Yeah. And you're the man. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I will happily be your Kyle anytime.
Let's get some plugs. Where can people find you? Where's the best place to find out Tone Control, Delaney stuff, YouTube, whatever? Give it to me. What do you got?
Yeah, so the Tone Control, the podcast is, of course, now on YouTube, like we mentioned. It's also available in all podcatcher feeds. So if it's iTunes, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Overcast, Anchor. We're published on Anchor, so you can get it there too. Basically everywhere. We also have a Discord server, which is open and free to everybody. You can find, I'll give Brian a link, so that'll be in the show notes.
Yep.
The Discord is really cool. If you're familiar with Discord, then you already know what I'm talking about, but it's like Slack or Microsoft Teams or anything like that. It's a big chat room where people talk about guitars and music and gear and movies and video games and books and like all kinds of stuff. And it's just a bunch of like-minded folks chilling out, chit-chatting. It's also where we record the podcast, where if you are a Patreon supporter, you can get in there and do all that business. Patreon.com/Tone Control. Like one listener from this show who hears me for the first time is going to go sign up for our Patreon.
You're like, oh, will you shit?
Oh, yeah. And then, YouTube, the Tone Control podcast, where we're doing the live streams of the demos as well as the podcast being featured there. What else? Delaney is on all the streamables, so Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, I think. It's Delaney, Delaney. I'm on the second EP, not on the first EP.
There you go.
And yeah, we're all over Facebook, Instagram are our places for the band. So not a ton of activity these days, but we're there,
So make sure to check out Tone Control, all the podcast, social medias, and all that shit like that. And if you like our show, you can follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group. Search Tone Jerks. You'll find it. I'll put a link in the description here. Join the group. We're also on Instagram at Tone Jerks, posting cool shit on the reg. We're posting questions that nobody answers over there on the stories.
Yeah,
and then we also we're on YouTube as well. Like I said, I got the videos coming out. A little pause on the video podcast until Kyle gets settled and we get the cameras and I learned how to figure that out, which I'm going to be asking Derek and Justin how do they do it, and getting pointers from them. But we'll be doing the video podcast again shortly. But in the meantime, check out the videos. I'm gonna try and crank those out a little bit more. Maybe instead of once a month, maybe I don't know if I put it out there. Maybe twice a month.
Ooh, easy there, easy.
Easy, cowboy. But we got the YouTube. And if you really like what you hear, you can help support the show on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. But if you double down for $2 a month, you get an extra episode every week. You get the whole RSS feed to your favorite podcatcher, and you get the whole back catalog. There is over 170 bonus episodes. So it's not just, it's a completely different extra show and content. 170 episodes of it. So if you like Tone Control, if you like the Tone Jerks and the Tone Control, Derek's been on a couple of those Patreon ones. I'm losing a little. I'm like, I have to read the list this week. So I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Like, I hope you don't throw it to me to read your Patreon list because I don't have it.
I'm getting a little flustered while I'm looking at the fucking page here. But if you like, Tone Control and the Tone Jerks, you got we got all this shit over on patreon.com/the Tone Jerks over here. This is called ramping. I'm just like, okay, got my list over here. So just for the support, we got a big old thank you for all these people. Got a huge shout out, sizable acknowledgement. I got a list. I'm gonna give it to you, baby. We got Andrew Walsh from Andrew's Alcove. I got Adam Rohr from the Let 'Em Hear podcast. Abe Newman. He gave me a couple Helix patches, HX Stomp ones, that I'm going to be probably doing a video on. He's got some worship ones.
Ooh.
Praise and worship. Then see if I could do some songs with that. I'm excited about that. Got Michael Newman. This is maybe too personal, but congrats to Michael Newman. He knows why. Nicholas Payson. Nicholas Ogburn. I know. It's like really ominous. I'm like, what the hell does he mean?
I got to start doing this for our patrons. I got to be
man, Michael Newman. You give him a huge shout out. You give him a double shout out for Michael Newman.
You got to do is like, you're saying congratulations. You got to be like, you can go to hell. You know what for.
Congratulations. You know why. Nicholas Payson, Nicholas Ogburn. We got, the man, Doug King. We got Dougie Christ over there at 37 Effects. He's on Just Surprise Me. He's on the fucking Masters of Cinematic Universe. He's doing it all, folks. We got Joe from Like My Pedals. We got Will Lehue, also from the Just Surprise Me podcast. We got Rom Yorn. We got Jamie Davis. We got old Johnny Two Guns, Johnny Ray. Let me that pedal. Slam Punk. Gotta give that back to him. We got old Jason Fuzzmonger. We got Steve Mike from Hardly Human. We got Steve Rao from the 60 Cycle Hum podcast. We got Colin Smith. Kevin Equits, he's making those guitars that I love. We got Co Schneider from the Flippin' Flippers podcast. We got Alvaro Viramontes. We got Brian from Nutter Guitars. We got Mel Chipson from Chipson Guitars. I finally released his episode, the bonus episode, so hopefully you'll listen to that. Got it in your, surfing your earwax over there on that one.
Sweet.
And then we got Sean Arbo from Gun Street Wiring Shop. We got Sean at Lollygagger Effects. Sean Wright over there. We all know
the man himself.
We got Juan Ortiz from Tone Hungry Effects. We got these two. Got to get my jaw ready for this one. We got Mike Oxbig and a huge erection.
Hey, classics. Nailed it.
Got to stretch for that one. The heavy lifting. Anyways, we got Zach Hale. We got Eric Amaro from YouTube over there. Big shout out. ELM Effects over there. And he's also got the Pedal Demo podcast. Eric has got his He's got his work cut out for him over there. And then we got Scott Hamilton from the Effects Loop podcast. We got Tim Noack from Bardic Audio Devices and Jonathan Jervizik from 12th Hour Devices. And then lastly, but not leastly, we got old Tyler Rhines there from KC's Riff Room over on Instagram. Go check him out. Go check Derek out. We'll see you next week. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.